Hello, good evening, namaskara, and welcome to the first of 5 modules leading up to the online ceremony of the Toto Awards 2021 on February 7th. These modules are devoted to conversations on film, literature, photography, and music, the very categories under which artists under 30 can apply for the Toto Awards. In most events, you will also be introduced to the work of the shortlisted artists and hear them speak about their creative impulses, interests, and processes. This module on cinema is titled Making Films in the Era of Fake News, Diminishing Democracies and OTT Platforms, moderated by filmmaker and writer Basav Biradar. 5 independent filmmakers, including 2 earlier winners of the Toto for short film, discuss their work and how it has responded to new technological, political, and COVID 19 related realities. And with that, over to Basa.
Thank you for agreeing to do this with us. Yeah, so I think as you have read in the email, the idea was to see what we can, the kind of society we are living in currently. It seems like there's a lot happening. We have, there is a lot of political, ideological conversations happening thanks to technology, thanks to social media, but at the same time, although there are more voices, it seems like more are being left behind every day, right? So that's a feeling we get. And at the same time, technology has also come into filmmaking and how it has kind of disrupted the filmmaking world and also the platforms, etc., OTT platforms, etc. So I thought it'd be a good idea to put together you guys who are all independent filmmakers in today's India to talk about this topic. Right. I wanted to hear, well, so maybe from Pushpa and Arun to begin with, to try to understand why did they come into filmmaking at all, since they didn't really go to a film school as per se. So, assuming there was a lot of accident involved in this journey. So, if you can talk a little bit of how it happened for you and how you sort of went on to make the film you made. सो पुष्पा आपसे चालू करें.
बिल्कुल.
हाँ बोलिए.
हाँ, तो ऐसा तो मैंने भी नहीं सोचा था कि मैं कभी फ़िल्म लाइन में आऊँगी। लेकिन हाँ, कैमरे को चलाना मेरा शौक था बचपन से ही। मैं कई बार कई इंटरव्यू में कह चुकी हूँ कि मैं नेबरहुड का कैमरा लेके मैं फ्यूजी का था, कोडेक का था, एक और भी कई तरह के कैमरे जो रोल कैमरा होता था रील वाला, उससे कई फ़ोटोएँ खींची और कई बार डाँट भी खाई। लेकिन इतना उसके थ्रू यहाँ तक पहुँच जाऊँगी ये नहीं सोचा था। तो मुझे लगा जब मैं पहली बार फ़िल्म बनाई अनु मैम के साथ वर्कशॉप की तब भी नहीं पता था कि फ़िल्म मेकर बनूँगी कभी। बस कैमरा चलाना सीखना था ये पता था इसलिए मैंने बाल भवन में नेशनल बाल भवन जो दिल्ली में है कोटला रोड पे, यही सोच कर जॉइन किया था कि मुझे कैमरा चलाना सीखना है बस। क्योंकि मुझे नहीं पता था कि एंगल क्या होता है या पोर्ट्रेट क्या होता है या कैसे आपको बस मुझे जो अच्छा लगता था या मेरे दिमाग में जो चित्र होते थे, चलचित्र कह लीजिए या छायाचित्र कह लीजिए, मुझे उसे अपने नज़रिए से कैप्चर करना अच्छा लगता था। तो मैं थैंकफुल हूँ कि 2007 में जब मैंने बाल भवन जॉइन किया, तो वहाँ अनुपमा मैम आई और उसी ईयर फर्स्ट टाइम ही वहाँ पे वीडियोग्राफी की क्लास भी हुई थी। और पहली बार ऐसा हुआ था कि कोई फ़िल्म शूट होने के बाद वो बनी और एडिट हुई और उसको दिखाया भी गया लोगों को। तो मेरी जर्नी तो इस तरीके से शुरू हुई और उसके बाद जब अनु मैम ने मुझे बोला कुछ महीनों बाद क्या आप मेरे साथ काम करोगी? तो मैंने उनके साथ उनकी आई वंडर फ़िल्म में काम किया। तो वहाँ से वो धीरे-धीरे जर्नी शुरू हुई और उसके बनने के बाद आई वंडर के बाद उन्होंने मुझसे कहा तुम कुछ अब अपना बनाओ। तो मैं शॉक्ड थी कि उन्होंने बोला कि अपना मत, तो मेरा जो मुझे लगता है फ़िल्म में आना और अनु मैम का मुझे इतना जानना, मुझे लगता है कि जो मेरे अंदर खूबी थी उन्होंने जानी और एक अच्छे मेंटर के तौर पे उन्होंने मुझे पूरा वो मौका दिया, शायद जो मैं करना चाहती थी। अब मुझे जो फ़ील होता है कि शायद मैं इसलिए आना चाहती हूँ, मुझे लगता है कि जब तक हम किसी चीज़ को रियलाइज़ नहीं करते हैं या उस चीज़ से हम खुद गुज़रे नहीं होते हैं, तब तक वो चीज़ हमें समझ नहीं आती। तो मुझे लगता है निर्णय में सारा वही एक्सपीरियंस था कि जो मैं अपने साथ अपने आस-पास के लोगों के साथ देखा। तो निर्णय में निकल के आता है और मुझे लगता है इसलिए लोग उसे पसंद भी करते हैं क्योंकि हम दूर जाके काम करना पसंद करते हैं, जबकि हमारे ही आस-पास बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती हैं। तो मुझे लगता है मैं जो आगे भी फ़िल्म बनाऊँगी, मैं कभी इतना दूर नहीं जाऊँगी, अपने आस-पास ही सारी चीज़ें मुझे शायद मेरे पास हैं, तो मैं उन पे अब मैं इसलिए ही आना चाहती हूँ कि जैसे अनु मैम ने मुझसे निर्णय के टाइम पे भी पूछा था कि तुम फ़िल्म बनाना क्यों चाहती हो? तो मैंने उन्हें यही बोला था कि मैम दूसरों को प्रोत्साहन दे सकूँ, तो वो हँसी थी। क्योंकि शायद हम मेरा या जो मेरे साथ के लोगों का, हमारा जो बेसिक ट्रेनिंग हुई है या जो मोरल वो एजुकेशन है हमारी, वो ऐसे हमारे दिमाग में कूट-कूट के डाली है कि आप अपने साथ सबको लेके चलो। तो मुझे लगता है मेरी फ़िल्मों में वो मोड़ में भी दिखता है, वो निर्णय में भी है। तो शायद मैं वही कि जिस तरह से सोसाइटी में आवाज़ें दब जाती हैं, वो ना दबे। मुझे लगता है मैं इसी तरह से फ़िल्में करती रहूँ।
And so Arun, probably little bit different in the way you approach films. So it'll be interesting to hear from you.
Hi, hello everyone. My interest in cinema was very average until class 10. I was not interested in films as such, like just another person. I was watching films on and off, go to theaters with family and then. But in class 11, something happened that I wanted to break away from this monotony of school books and like exams and all of that. And I started watching some westerns, and that is the time I discovered a local film club called Konangal Film Society in Coimbatore. So I was curious, what is this? They are screening this foreign film. Let me go and see and all that. So, and then I found myself in the screening of Eight and a Half. Okay, and I didn't understand anything because it was my first time watching something that was not Tamil films or usual Hollywood films and all that. So I kind of just I was waiting for the film to get over because I couldn't kind of connect or like I did not know what I was doing, and I kind of made fun of other people also who were watching. I was making fun with some oldies are sitting here to pass their time and all that. But then a week later, a few images uh, keeping on coming in my mind and all that, and I went back to my film society secretary and told him that okay, what is this? What does it mean? Like I'm getting some images, sir, and I don't understand anything. I mean, how do I deal with it? And he was a very nice and he was an amazing guide for me. He told me that something that has stayed with me since. He told me that cinema is not about meaning; it's about feeling. Okay, so let me give you some films so you feel them. So I kind of took a liking to what he said. He said like, oh, feeling. Oh, what is meaning and what is feeling? Okay, let me watch these films. Anyway, I want to like not study. Okay, so I was wanting to watch. So in class 12 or something, I started watching some of the films that he shared with me, and then the cinema bug kind of bit me. So and I also found that okay, this could be very adventurous because how do you make a film? How do you tell a story? Because a few of those films that I saw were fascinatingly told life. Like the retelling of life was it struck me because I grew up in a village, and I always like to do some adventurous things, going out with friends and doing all naughty stuff, and in the kind of films that I watched, kind of brought me back into that loop of thinking about life. So maybe that was the time the seeds of reflection of our actions or what we are, what I am, or what somebody is. All of those thoughts kind of were being formulated in my head, and I was getting conscious that okay, this is a medium which is very adventurous, and it is possible to kind of depict different kinds of lives, and it's so fascinating. And more than everything, I think the sense of wonder and awe is what kind of seduced me into cinema,
Mhm.
and that wonder and awe you see in films of varying topics and of varying styles and everything. But there is an overriding feeling that when I watch a film, or when I at that point when I was watching those films, that I wanted to create this sense of awe and wonder for another person.
Cool, great. So the rest of you three, I think I just thought it would be interesting to know, because all of you sort of studied in FTI or NID, and it would have been easy to sort of slip into the industry, so to say, right? But you all seem to have moved away from it and started working independently. Why? What was the sort of the trigger for that, or what was the thought process to go and make your own cinema independently rather than sort of say working 10 years in the industry and then getting back, or sort of, yeah, any of you three can go for it. Mahin, okay, let's start with Mahin. Since you took the most radical out of everybody here, since you said, okay, we'll do a collective work.
My journey is actually a little bit like from the start itself, it's been a little bit of a more than one person kind of story, because I think for a long time we were trying to, um, we were interested in cinema, but we were also trying to, because we did not have the training or that kind of experience. A lot of us were trying to get other people to come to work with us and do cinema with us, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So, uh, um, and when people came, it was that they wanted to do their cinema, they didn't want to do what we were interested in. So I think I kind of got sent to FTII to learn and come back, and so that we could do this this thing called cinema. Also, it was something that was able. It's, you know, sometimes it just happens that there is that window when there are a lot of people who think like you, and there is a common platform that, or you discover a common medium together that interests you. So and cinema was probably the only form where we could actually collaborate. It gives so many different avenues of working, whether it is, you know, cinematography or music or editing or acting or script writing or telling stories. So that kind of, we needed something like that large to accommodate all of us, and that this provided us that kind of scale. So so I think that I went, and a year was all I was willing to give it. And I often, when people say that you're from FTI, I say that, yeah, but I make films in spite of the fact that I'm from FTI.
I mean, I've always heard of collectives only failing in cinema. So I'm very interested in knowing.
That is so encouraging. Thank you, Balsa.
So I wanted to know, how does Ektara actually work? Although I know a couple of guys who, friends who have worked with Ektara, but does it really work so smoothly every time, or like?
No, I mean, like it's like any other film shoot. It's like madness, and it's like a pressure cooker. It's exactly like how any other film shoot would be. But yeah, I think that there are two or three things that also, because we have some amount of experience of working prior to like starting to make films, and so I think a lot of that experience really helped us to kind of, mount films or bring them together in a production. A lot of us work with a lot of people's movements. So, you know, sometimes people describe it as like, you know, how do you like do a dharna? Jaise dharna karte hain, वैसे film banana hai. And, you know, you apply the same kind of uh, uh, tools and that kind of thing to it. So, um, it's not, I mean, I don't think that it could ever be a when there is a lot of clash of ideas, then it doesn't बहुत smoothly नहीं होती हैं चीजें, और होनी भी नहीं चाहिए मेरे ख्याल से. और मेरे ख्याल, because of those clashes, what emerges is a very synergetic kind of both work atmosphere as well as a rendition or an execution of the work. So so I think that there is the thing that binds us together is really the fact that everybody is committed to the work, and not committed to like a person, like we have one, like this one visionary and uske vision ke hisab se sab log execute karte hain. So there is a commitment to the work that is to be done. There is a kind of a commitment to the script that has come through from a collective process. And because the process and the work takes precedence to uh, say an individual sense of thought or being per se, that kind of makes it happen in the end.
But it is also a political choice for you guys, no, to do a collective cinema, or the cinema is part of the movements or the work that you guys otherwise do. Is that correct to say?
It yes, it would be like that because we did not choose to make it by as individuals. We chose to come together to make it collaboratively. So that is a choice that is a very conscious one, and yes, political also, because it's not done usually in that way. So so yes, I mean, I think that the crux of the matter also is that if you want to do things which I mean, like, a lot of us would think that say values like equality or uh, justice, sabhi ko mauka milna, opportunities uh, of all kinds of people are some things that are important to us. So if you have to implement them, this collective filmmaking is somehow something which makes it happen for us.
Yeah, I mean, some of the key features of Ektara's work, if you guys don't know, is that the cast and crew is usually the people they work with. I mean, the communities they work with, and the script and the process, etc., emerges collectively. But there are some technical people like cinematographers, editors, other people who kind of come in and work on a project and work kind of right.
And then they also work on the same terms that say what who the other people in the collective are working with. So
Yeah.
if somebody is like taking a leave from their domestic work and coming to act in the film, and then that the technical people who are like professional and would probably normally charge a fee or whatever, then the same kind of principles would apply to them, that they volunteer this for the love of cinema because everybody is doing it.
Yeah, great. So yeah, Priyanka, do you want to talk about your work a little bit as to how you have arrived at the kind of work you have been doing?
I just want to say that I don't know if I've really arrived at something. Also, it constantly feels like one is still struggling to figure out what next, how to do it next. I think the one thing uh, is to be sure कि ये करते रहना है, that I don't want to stop making films.
But I think Priyanka, what I wanted to ask you is in terms of like the work you have done, like when you made Pichla work also, the interest, it seemed to me that your interest in sort of seeing the world from a woman's perspective, let's say, and in Pichla Varka also you like sort of use that kitty party sessions as your sort of the center of gravity of the film per se, and even I think Shame was a place inside me or something. The short I saw much earlier, and Summer Flew also. So in a way. So I was just, I think the curiosity is to understand where the urge to tell these stories comes from, or why do you feel this is what you should be telling? So,
So these specific stories, yeah, it has to do with my life experiences, and also I was thinking of how I think the community or the space that I'm part of, or my experiences are part of, what what remains silent in those experiences is what I get drawn to. Um, so Summer Flu was like, something I wanted to make after I finished my film studies, and I really didn't know what to do, and I was just assisting on some editing projects. And then
when I felt, okay, what is the story that I, really want to tell, it was this experience of growing up in the summers in Delhi, and how that was such a, like, the summers in Delhi was such a, like, visceral experience almost. So that was something that came from. And Shame and Pichla Varkaya had to do with the silences surrounding, the experience of living as a woman in the world, and what are the different aspects that define it. So in Shame, it had to do with body, sexuality, and different emotions of fear, um, guilt, and
Can you be a bit
anger.
louder? I think we are very mild.
Yeah, and so from Pichla Varka was like a longer film, and now what I'm working on is also a follow up from that. So that was more a sort of search for um, this identity that one sort of lives with, of being a Punjabi person who lives in a certain part of the city. And that sort of took me back to the partition and how my grandparents are partition refugees, and then looking at the experiences of my grandmother and her friends, and the core of it being how they never talked about it, but it was possibly something that defined who they were, where they lived, who they were friends with, almost everything. So that sort of connections.
Right. Kisley is someone who probably works more closely with the industry compared to all of us here, as in he does do some collaborations, I'm sure, since he's been actively working for last 10 years, I guess. And he also wrote a film which is now on Netflix. So, yeah, so you are also on mainstream somewhat. Yeah, so Kisle, can you talk about your sort of, because your film, I say I mean, first of all, I don't know why it is not talked about more or hasn't traveled more. I don't know, maybe because 2020 came in between the journey of that film, but I'm assuming it will soon be on one of those big platforms where everybody can see.
So, no, I mean, to the first question, it's like, I mean, I was after FTI, I was also, I wanted to make my own film. I mean, that was the primary desire. How, where should I be based? These questions were secondary. But yes, one was confused because, in Bombay, everyone is going, so it becomes a default setting of sorts. Plus, there is a question of livelihood. And then you are also left with the question of which city you want to be a part of. So I was confused, and thankfully that I got a film to assist on in Delhi. And then later on I started working from Delhi. But yes, I never liked, in some sense, the industry ways of working, the way industry works, because it's for a reason it's called an industry. Like often, for my sound, I had to go to Bombay and I had to work with people who are part of the industry, like studios and everything. And there's so much of work pressure, and some very talented people, but really burdened by that kind of pressure of producing work one after another. I mean, it moves in a certain pace. So yeah, I was relieved that that hopefully, and it's also a question of relative privilege, I think, because I mean, many of my batchmates would have liked to not be part of the industry, but at the end of the day, you have to earn your livelihood. There are pressures from family, etc., etc. So yes, I think a series of happy accidents, privilege, plus a notion of making one what really wanted to make in some sense, that made me decide of not going to Bombay. Yeah.
I mean, one question probably for you and Pushpa before, I mean, or maybe for everybody, is that I found it very interesting that when so much is happening outside, like we are seeing, sort of protests, some college students are beaten up, this, that, and there is constant conversation about these left versus right and this kind of thing. But when I watch, the work of very interesting independent filmmakers like you all, I see that there is an interest to sort of go back home and sort of examine things like Pushpa. For example, I was very, very interested to know, जब आपने सोचा कि फिल्म बनाना है तो आपने एक ही सोचा कि अपनी खुद की कहानी पे बनाएं, जैसे आपने पहला आपका निर्णय था which was which looked at a relationship you were in, and then it sort of veered on to your woman friends जिनकी कहानी आपने फिल्म में डाली. एंड सेकंड फिल्म जब आपने बनाई वो तो और भी इंटरेस्टिंग एक तरह से सोशोलॉजिकल एंथ्रोपोलॉजिकल स्टडी है, क्योंकि आपने सोचा कि ये नुक्कड़ पे जो वाटर टैंक है वहां जो लड़के हैंग आउट करते हैं उनके वो क्या करते हैं. सो यू वेंट टू काइंड ऑफ just confronted them and interviewed them and made a film out of it. So ये कहाँ से क्योंकि एक तो पहली फिल्म में ही आप इतना ऐसा गहरी सोच कैसे आई कि चलो मैं घर से ही बना लेती हूँ फिल्म.
हाँ, मुझे लगता है एक बार कहीं हम एक इंटरव्यू दे रहे थे, मैं और अनु मैम साथ में थे, तो आपका इसी सवाल पे ये जवाब मुझे याद आया उनका कि किसी सेम सवाल उन्होंने पूछा था, तो उन्होंने ये कहा कि ये जो पुष्पा की जो फ़िल्म्स हैं या जो ये पुष्पा करती है, वो कोई एक दिन का एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है। उस समय तक मुझे भी अपने अंदर का ये सब चीज़ें नहीं पता था, क्योंकि मैं जो दिल और दिमाग दोनों में जो एक साथ चलता है, शायद वही मेरी फ़िल्म में और मुझे लगता है सभी की फ़िल्मों में वही निकल के आता है। तो अनु मैम ने ये रिप्लाई उन्हें दिया था कि ये एक दिन का अनुभव नहीं है, शायद वो बचपन से जो मेरे साथ चीज़ें होती आई हैं या हम सबके साथ जो होती आई है, तो शायद मैंने वो एक साहस दिखाया निर्णय के थ्रू या निर्णय से ही बोलूँगी कि मैं अपनी कहानी कह सकूँ। मोड़ में एक डायलॉग है जो फ़िल्म में शायद नहीं है, वो कहता है मेरा भाई उसमें कहता है कि क्या होगा हम लोग फ़िल्में बना लेंगे, ठीक है, पैसा मिलेगा और लोग तालियाँ बजा के चले जाएँगे। लेकिन जिन लोगों की हम फ़िल्म बनाते हैं, उनका क्या? तो मुझे लगता है अभी सेम चीज़ है, अभी ये थर्ड फ़िल्म अभी मैं जो करने जा रही हूँ, अभी वो फेलोशिप मिला है लेकिन अभी तक मैं फ़िल्म शूट भी नहीं कर पाई हूँ। अ, लेकिन वहाँ भी मेरा एक यही हुआ था कि हाँ, हमारे लिए बहुत ईज़ी है, ख़ास तौर से डॉक्यूमेंट्री या फिर मुझे लगता है फ़िक्शन में भी ऐसे लोगों पे फ़िल्में बनाना है जो बहुत नीचे तबके के या मिडिल तबके के में है। क्योंकि हम उनके ऊपर कहानियाँ या उनके ऊपर डॉक्यूमेंट्री इज़िली बना लेते हैं। अगर मैं सोचूँ मैं एक हाई स्टैंड में जाके किसी लेडी से पूछूँ या जेंट्स से पूछूँ कि उस पे आपबीती क्या है, उसकी क्या परेशानी है, तो वो शायद मुझे या तो घर से बाहर निकाल देंगे या फिर मेरी बातों का भी जवाब नहीं देंगे। तो आपने जो कहा कि तो मुझे लगा कि क्यों ना मैं शुरुआत अपने से करूँ। मैं अपने दोस्तों के ऊपर तो फ़ोकस कर रही हूँ क्योंकि वो मेरे लिए ईज़ी है, मेरे दोस्त हैं कहेंगे, लेकिन उतना टफ़ भी था। आप अपनों के साथ जब बातचीत करते हैं, वो और भी ज़्यादा टफ़ होता है। लेकिन मुझे लगा कि शायद जब तक मैं अपनी कहानी भी ना कहूँ तो कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है। यही वजह थी कि मैं निर्णय में भी कहीं न कहीं पूरी फ़िल्म में हूँ और मोड़ में भी हूँ और शायद जो मेरी थर्ड फ़िल्म आएगी कहीं न कहीं मैं उसमें भी रहूँगी।
Yeah, very interesting, no? So same, I think same is also with Kisle, your work, no? You seem to have, uh, I tried to examine, and like when I watched Aisehi, I felt that you seem to think, or the way you seem to ideate, it looks like that whatever happens in the human journey, it somehow starts from the family, is kind of your crux of your thesis, if I can say that. So with both Hamara Ghar and Aisehi, I felt that very strongly with the story of the young boy and how he's developing through the film. So is that something how did you sort of why do you think that family is what needs to be examined, the institution of family, to understand the society, let's say?
सॉरी मैं थोड़ा-सा कुछ और कहूँगी उसके बाद किसले आप शुरू कर देना। सॉरी
हाँ
किसले।
हाँ, बोलिए
अ
बोलिए.
यही चीज़ अगर आप देखेंगे ना जैसे नहीम ने कहा, उनकी फ़िल्म आप कोई सी भी देखें, जादुई मच्छी देखें या तुरुप देखें, वो भी इस चीज को समझते हैं। इसलिए आप हमेशा देखेंगे जो उनका फिक्शन होता है, एक तो खूबसूरती से करती हैं, प्लस वो उन्हीं कोई एक्टर हायर नहीं करते, वो उनके इर्द गिर्द जो लोग हैं वो उन्हीं को फिल्म में लेती हैं। तो आई थिंक इसलिए उनकी फिल्में भी इतनी बेहद पसंद की जाती है। जो चीज मैं कह रही हूँ वो उनके फिक्शन में मुझे नजर आता है, बस यही कहना है।
नहीं, बट एक उनका और आपके इसमें बहुत बड़ा फर्क ये है,
हाँ,
हाँ, कि माहिन जो कहानियां कह रही हैं वो एक एक क्या बोलते हैं, एक कम्युनिटी की कहानियां मिला मिला के मतलब बहुत सारे, लेकिन आप तो अपना खुद का कहानी कह रही है ना, वो
हाँ,
हाँ।
लेकिन जो मैं कॉमन चीज कह रही हूँ वो जो चीज मैंने कहा कि हम दूसरों के ऊपर फिल्म बनाना आसान है ना, तो
हम्म,
जिस तरह से मैं उन लोगों के साथ काम करके मुझे लगता है, चाहे वो निर्णय हो, मोड़ हो, या शायद जो थर्ड फिल्म आएगी, मैं लोगों से किसी ना किसी फॉर्म में कनेक्ट रहती हूँ फिल्म बनने के बाद भी। और महीन के साथ भी सेम है कि वो सिर्फ यूज करो और थ्रो करो ऐसा नहीं करते। इसलिए वो जो उनका आसपास के जो माहौल है, जो सोसाइटी की आप बात कर रहे हैं, वो उसी से लोगों को लेती हैं ताकि इसके बदले उन्हें वो कुछ दे सके।
नहीं, मेरा सवाल शायद ये है आपके लिए कि आपने जो अपनी कहानी के थ्रू जो फिल्में बनाई, तो उसके थ्रू आपको क्या समाज के बारे में कुछ समझ आया? क्या आपका ये जानने का तरीका था कि मेरा भाई और कैसे, मतलब मर्द कैसे होते हैं,
नहीं,
एक
नहीं,
वॉइस
एक्चुअली
के?
ये जो इतनी बड़ी-बड़ी कहानी, ये फिलॉसफी हम रख देते हैं ना, ये सब कुछ इतना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड मैं लाइफ को नहीं बनाती। मेरा कभी जेंडर इशू नहीं रहा या ये चीज़ें कि मैं नहीं, मेरा ये था कि अगर मैं अपने से शुरुआत करती हूँ, अ, तो शायद जो मेरे आस-पास के लोग हैं, वो शायद पुष्पा का तो पता नहीं, लेकिन शायद उस पुष्पा से बेटर कुछ कर सके। जब वो निर्णय देखें या मोड़ देखें या फिर पुष्पा को करते कुछ देखें तो पुष्पा से भी आगे निकल सके। मेरा हमेशा ये रहा, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीज़ें जैसे आपने निर्णय देखी तो उसमें देखा होगा कि पूजा, सब वेल एजुकेटेड होते हुए भी कुछ नहीं कर पाते। तो मुझे लगता है कि जब मैं अपने आप को किसी काम में रखती हूँ, चैलेंज तो बहुत होता है, लेकिन उसका इफ़ेक्ट मेरे इर्द-गिर्द के लोगों पे पड़ता है। सिर्फ़ यही एक वजह है।
Yeah, Kisle, maybe you can build on
या
that. Yeah.
No, I definitely feel like what you were saying, no, ki the what is happening outside and what is there inside homes. If one talks about home and family, I think they are interrelated. I mean, and crucially so. If you look at the kind of say cultures, the undemocratic cultures of our home, and then you see what's happening outside in the country. I mean, I'll say they are now much more in sync as compared to before, where there was a certain coating of democracy within a very undemocratic soil. So, and that many of the people and observers have said that already. So yes, I mean, I do feel that that especially in India and now at a time like this, we need to ask complex questions about our cultures, about ourselves, and about our identity, because it's not something which say has happened suddenly. Like we can't be satisfied as filmmakers with easy answers of the rise of WhatsApp and the rise of corporate media. I mean, that is not enough, especially if you are trying to explore and deeply understand something. So then you have to go into the culture of it, and why is it so, why is there's a so much of hatred against women in this sort of thing. Are they linked, are they not linked? So I think yes, in that sense I do feel that exploring human psyche is very important, and especially so I find that in the family one can explore different shades of different characters. Maybe also I'm say more aware of home as a space and the micro tensions of home, as opposed to say a office space or a different kind of space. So it also comes from a subjective experience and understanding. But I do feel that yes, there is definitely one should look at these spaces with microscope. And I do think that even say in Arun's work or Mahin's work, and I haven't seen Pishla work, but what it sounds like, there are these similarities of concern, if I can say.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with you when you say all of your work sort of are examining one institution or other in a little bit more depth than maybe what mainstream cinema would be attempting to do, at least, right? So Arun, I think I mean maybe we can talk from Nasir from this perspective, because it's a little interesting that it's also like, unlike Pushpas or some of the other people we are talking about work here, it's something alien to you in a way, because you're looking at a Muslim family, a person there.
So I generally so far have made shorts or features or stories that have kind of possessed me, you know. And in that way, Nasir is not a story that is alien for me. I believe that it is something very close to me, and which is why I wanted to do it in the first place, because it was about a lower middle class person, a working class person. Of course, his religion is Muslim, but he's not a devout Muslim man or somebody who's like very fundamental, or even mm, he's not or even very deep into his religion, or as such. So I did not feel, maybe if that was the case, I would have felt a bit, because I am not of that religion, or I don't associate myself with any religion. But the story in itself was about more of the person, more of the human, and so in that way I was connected to the story. And with regard to my approach, it has been yeah, in a way, giving back to a certain kind of realities that I connect with, and I find parts of me in it. Like in every, almost in many characters of Nasir, you can see a bit of. I mean, when I read the short story and when I spent the time in the location, I sensed a bit of me. That bit of me is the one who relates and who wants to converse, who wants to have a dialogue with whatever at that point that we are indulged with. So I don't know if something is alien. I generally believe that we wouldn't even be engaged with it. We would just pass it and get over. So Nasir came from a deep-rooted desire to kind of film that short story, because that short story reminded me a lot of my city, the spaces that I cross when I go to my school, and so so in that way. But Basav, if you would permit, I would like to go back to the theme that you suggested us, wherein that and like the position of an independent filmmaker in times of what you call it, shifting democracies, or OTT and all that. Like I agree with Kisley that democracy is a very sugar-coated term, and we often live in illusion of there being a democracy. But I don't think life is democratic or anything. We are living in a democratic system, let's say, but the system and life, there is a lot of friction between all this. So if you ask me as an independent filmmaker, how am I feeling? I feel very frustrated, especially in the last 7-8 months. I've been generally I like to be excited about life, but I have been at the lowest in my life in terms of many things to do with when what we term as independent cinema and how we look at it, the perceptions, and also the way the others have been reacting to things, and the way the system has been uh, growing or outgrowing itself. So in that sense, I have strongly had the feeling that, I mean, even in fact, you said that if somebody has a credit in Netflix, and you're part of the mainstream. So that is exactly what is happening. If you ask an independent filmmaker in times of OTT, if you have your film in OTT, then probably a certain sector like you would call us a mainstream filmmaker. Then are we not independent anymore? So why do you say that? Why you say that? Because uh, the OTT space has very much become the system in itself, a system in itself, or the system. I don't want to be a part of the system. At the same time, I very much want to sustain myself so that I will make another film. Okay. So if I make films which I believe in and have no financial gains, or let's say the so-called monopoly and the system, and none of them would embrace us, then what do I do?
But
Sort
I
of a
mean, these are
decadent
these are
cinema.
the these are these are the questions. I think, I mean, if someone else wants to respond to this kind of couple of questions that Arun has put there, one is, of course, the idea of funding and sustaining filmmaking practice within, and staying independent, devoid of these all influences of studios or OTTs or government, whoever, like, or if you're getting funded from an institution, that one. So yeah, so Mahin.
So actually the thing is, matlab, it kind of like this, I would like to connect what um, this whole discussion with what different people have been saying. I think that by and large, what is clear to for us, I think when we're making the film is also the audience. So it's one is the exhibition format, which comes as a secondary kind of a thing to grapple with, but who do we want to make it for comes as a primary question. Kyunki even, I mean, theaters had become obsolete for a lot of people who used to go to watch cinema long before pandemic, long before multiplex के time से ही लोग, मतलब जब tickets इतने expensive हो गए थे तो कहाँ जा रहे थे लोग theater में film देखने के लिए. So then that kind of came as a question, and फिर वो जो पुष्पा कह रही थी शायद उस चीज से भी थोड़ा सा relate हो जाती है. How relatable are those films that we make? Not how we relate to them, but how would people relate? How are the audience who are interested in making or seeing this? How would they relate to it? जैसे मुझे तो बहुत शर्म आएगी कोई भी बस्ती के person को बोलने के लिए कि भाई Slumdog Millionaire देखो, because that person must be relating to it while he's making it, but I would never recommend it to somebody who's in the basti. But हाँ, मतलब वो जो मेरे घर के पास जो चौराहा है वहाँ जो लड़के खड़े होते हैं, I might go and tell them मोड़ देख के आओ. I might just do that. तो ये सारे सवाल ना बहुत मतलब they don't have simple.
मोड़ वो कहाँ देख पाएंगे, वो भी तो
हाँ,
accessible.
so that is where then this thing comes from कि आप या तो थिएटर के लिए बना रहे हो या फिर आप फेस्टिवल के लिए बना रहे हो. But also because there are people like us who are making and who are connected to a certain audience. जैसे निर्णय मैंने मतलब हो सकता है कि क्योंकि लेकिन मेरा पुष्पा से मिलना भी एक तरह से इसीलिए हुआ क्योंकि मैं इस तरह के लोगों से मिलते रहती हूँ. Lekin, I mean, you know, so it's also, it does not just simply, जैसे there is no simple answer कि आप ऐसे mass produce करके आप helicopter से आपकी film झाड़ दो कि सब लोग देख लें. ऐसे नहीं कोई आसान सा वो होता है, because even like Arun is saying कि उसने actually he started to see films in a film club. तो ऐसी चीजें होती होंगी ना जहाँ पे there would be screenings where people would be watching these kind of things, and केरल में तो शायद there is a tradition because where people even in the villages or whatever there's mobile cinema they can watch, so people have actually even cultivated this and not waited for the market to put together an OTT to put together. तो लोगों ने भी मेहनत की है कि इस तरह का कल्चर हो जहाँ पे cinema becomes accessible to people. It is only then that the people who are influenced by cinema get interested in making cinema. So I think just generally like the way we try to put resources together, for us our most important resource is a human resource. So जैसे ही अरुण जैसे लोग या कोई भी लोग बोलते हैं कि आप कैसे काम करते हो, हम बोलते हैं आ जाओ दिखाते हैं. There are some things that you need to take care with money, which we do through like we send out a letter saying that भाई हम ये film बना रहे हैं, please हमें पैसे दे दो. तो हम मतलब and we hope that people would contribute to it. And इत्तेफाक से अभी तक we've been lucky. People have wanted to contribute to it. And उसमें बहुत सारे खर्चे निकल जाते हैं, जेब से डालना पड़ता है, ठीक है, कौन नहीं डालता. मतलब आपको कोई चीज अच्छी दिखती हो तो आप थोड़ा बहुत तो अपनी जेब से डालते ही हैं.
But what happens to, I mean, do you have to in that sense as an independent filmmaker, do you have to compromise on your technique / aesthetics, whatever, or do you adopt an aesthetic which sort of is informed by your practice? Does that happen? Like if I know that I'm making a film for say festival or independent documentary, then do I have to be conscious कि यार I have to work within this framework, and so my aesthetic has to be informed by that?
ये बात जरूर है कि you know the current aesthetic, it does not match the kind of stories that we want to tell.
Yeah.
So we cannot, and matlab ye we realize this very early on, we cannot use that aesthetic, हम लोग उसका बिल्कुल भी इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकते अगर हमको ये वाली कहानी कहनी है. तो फिर हमारे पास क्या है? We have to start to develop that right from scratch. मतलब उस लोकेशन से निकला हुआ, उस कहानी के अंदर से आता हुआ, उस कैरेक्टर के दिमाग से निकलता हुआ कोई एस्थेटिक, मतलब इट हैज टू बी अ लिविंग ब्रीदिंग थिंग. एंड जस्ट आई मीन जो अभी जो आसान होगा कि जो हमने सीखा है ना, मतलब वो भी कह रही थी प्रियंका भी कि सीख के आ जाओ तो बहुत सारा समय उसको अनलर्निंग में लगाना पड़ता है. वो सही बात है, because superimposition of something that is not coming from that space has never worked for us. And sometimes इसीलिए लोग अक्सर कहते हैं कि मतलब it's rough लग रहा है, बट वो रफ इसीलिए लग रहा है क्योंकि आपने पहले देखा नहीं है उसको. लेकिन द काइंड ऑफ अमाउंट ऑफ एफर्ट दैट हैज एक्चुअली बीन gone into constructing a script, into constructing the matlab working with the actors to getting the cinematography right, to getting the edit to a certain place, is probably equal to, if not more than what and that is one thing I think that जो एक चीज जो हम लोग शायद बहुत ही शिद्दत से करते हैं कि there is no compromise on the quality. It is true that you have to push your mental, matlab you have to push yourself to think about how you can make a certain thing happen without the kind of devices and toys that are usually available to, you know, people who are doing the same thing. But that just leaves us as much more knowledgeable, learned and taller people.
Yeah, I don't know about me, do I change? Well, it certainly has brought some questions in me. Like, okay, so generally when we start out to make films, when we are talking with the cinematographers, we think of the screen experience or the theatrical experience. We're going to shoot in 4K, 2K, and we're going to have this light, and we're going to have this depth, and we're going to have this certain aspect ratio. Everything you imagine for the screen, for the theater, okay? And now that role has been reversed. Like a lot of platforms have already taken to just imagining for the mobile, but I'm talking about the independent filmmaker, or about me. Now, should I, like, 2 films I've made, and none of those films have been screened in India in theaters. Okay, in other countries it has, but in India it has not. So if I make my next film, I'm kind of in a cynical way certainly sure that it won't hit the theaters. So I mean, I know that in the longer run, the film will be watched more in a computer screen or in a mobile screen. So this question is for me. I mean, like, what do I think of? Do I think of the big screen experience? And because it's a tool, right? Like, using all aesthetic devices and all, everything is a way of telling a story, you know. So the choice of wanting to tell it in this way, in this mood, in this pace, in this size, everything, not for the audience, but your exhibition format, you know, that has always played a role, because the exhibition format itself created the industry, you know, and it's still an industry on its own. So are we thinking, or do we want to actually radicalize the exhibition, the way we exhibit films, or the way we watch, or the way we imagine films to be exhibited, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't. I think just to give a overall perspective, one is that.
Kisley, give us your perspective, no overall perspective.
No. Just the question, overall question. Of course, I'll give my perspective. I think there are 2 things. One is that, as at least we can agree on this thing, that, you know, like, let's not. I'll come to the second part later. Let's not qualify. I mean, I think the word being an independent filmmaker means being independent from commercial considerations as much as possible, and being true to your own voice, you know, or what you are trying to do. If you look at it from that perspective, then you will see whether a person is an independent filmmaker or not filmmaker. It won't matter ki, okay, who got the money from which place. I mean, Tarkovsky got all his money from the Soviet state. So what? You know, so it shouldn't be looked at in this way of, you know, and then, of course, it's easy to be idealistic and say ki, I mean, all of us have to keep two things in mind. One is one's own survival, and second thing is the economy of film one is making. And then different people makes different choice. You know, Ektara Collective has made a particular choice. Arun has made a particular choice. Priyanka has a different choice. And everyone tries to figure out. There is a contradiction over there, and there is a pressure from say the sources, or following your own pattern. I mean, Pushpa can also fall into a certain pattern because of certain expectations from her, you know, from where she's getting the funding from. So all of us will have to be aware of those pressures, and they come, as Arun is saying, unconsciously. So the festival films, the community films, you know, these pressure, they work on you in an unconscious way. So you have to be you have to be always be aware of it. Now, I mean, I think I can't answer. I can't answer for Maheen or. I think one is that the first question which Arun said. I think I mean I will say that, say for me personally, I have been a child of small screen only. Like I studied in FTII, but I wasn't into the practice of cinema viewing, say as Arun was without being in FTII. So very often than not, I will end up watching films more on my laptop than in NFAI because of, say, the print issue and this issue. And I went into this habit of watching a film again and again, pausing it, then playing it again. So I have benefited from it. In fact, this essay was my first experience of actually discovering the joy of big screen when I started doing the sound design for it. Then I came to know what joy it hides and what are the things. So it has been a reverse process of sort in some sense. But yes, I agree in the sense of will it lead to a change in aesthetics? In some sense, already it has begun, because I was working in Bombay, and you know, most of these web series, they don't go through that rigor of sound designing, because they know the where they are going to be viewed at is not such a huge thing. So in that, but that is not a rigorous question. I mean, you know, we all thought when digital filmmaking comes in, it will change the aesthetic in some sense. Okay, camera has become lightweight. We can go to places where we weren't earlier, and that has changed things. But how far it has changed things, how much it has changed aesthetics, that is a open thing.
Yeah, and it's also like in I think just a month back in financialtimes.com there was an article about cinema is dead, you know. So but movies live on was the headline, sort of, you know, because it was very, because for movies like Tenet, for example, Christopher Nolan's, or No Time to Die, the Bond film, which is being postponed because of pandemic, etc., are the only films who are waiting for a theater release.
But then
Everybody else is just, you know, kind of, you know, putting their, you know, work into OTT or wherever, and the distributors, the whole nexus of money, etc., involved seems to only cater to. I mean, the article was about that, how it caters to these big films, which are one or two in a year. So one or two you want to go and sort of maybe watch in theater is, you know, the kind of article it was. Not my own opinion, but I'm just saying that it was very sensationally written, very interesting. Yeah.
I just wonder that this valorization of this big screen experience, and I'm saying valorization only because I mean, even though I've loved it, but honestly, I moved. It's great, but there are also many other ways to watch it, and many times it's much more convenient for me to do that, instead of going to the theater.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
something.
yeah.
So who is it important for, this going to the theater and watching it? That I mean, that's a question we should all ask. Like, is it important for Christopher Nolan that his film, because it's mounted in a certain way,
Yeah.
or is it important for you, me, and the people around us, and the
Yeah.
people?
Just to give the other perspective, I think, you know, for example, say, I mean, don't think of Nolan and big cinema as the only other thing. I mean, say the film society movements in different universities, the film clubs, you know, that was also a communal way of watching films. They were also important
But
because what?
communal is different from a big screen, no? A communal can also be on a laptop or a small.
By and large, they were watched on projector, 16:9 projector or something. I mean, theoretically, you are right. One can also watch it on a small screen. But if you don't go by the definition of how big or how small, by and large, they were a big screen relatively to a computer screen or a phone screen. And they were also, they were also grounds for, it was like there was curation, there was discussion about it after that. So now this whole idea, I don't know, some people say it's wonderful of uninformed viewing or just watching it suddenly, or this idea of discussing and watching it. So I think there was this thing of, because certain things are according to our taste and immediately available to us. Certain tastes are acquired taste. For those acquired taste or thoughts to work on, you need a certain kind of discussion, a gathering. So let's also not. It's not just nostalgia. I think there is importance in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about community viewing, I mean, collective viewing versus, say, the big screen. See, the multiplex kind of alienated the collective viewing in a different way, because of money, the cost, the other reasons, like one ticket, like mine was saying. I think one question to probably which we haven't discussed is what probably could be our last word is when we are making films which are political in nature, and you're independent, is there, because of the times we live in, how how conscious you are of that you purposely want to, one is you are either you're intentionally making a political film. Every film is political in a different way, but I'm saying responding to, say, a certain kind of political ideology today, etc., right? And then are you also fearful of the sort of the repercussions or the kind of the noise around these things, because it's immediately becomes viral if something is wrong, even in an independent film. It doesn't have to be a blockbuster today to get targeted by a mob. Okay, we'll start with Kisle because he was, I say he had that kind of content as well. Since you're talking of Allahabad and the UP's current political, what should I give, wave, which is there, right? Yeah.
I think personally speaking, I think, I feel that, we are too small in that sense to get noticed. But anything can become, as you are saying, rightfully in the, if anything can be made into a spectacle, then, it will be made into a spectacle. So who knows, unfortunately, maybe one of us will become that. But other than that, I feel, we are still too small a fry to get noticed in that sense. But by and large, I think it will be even difficult to, in earlier, we were, say, even a small fry in earlier regimes, but then you could have your independence within your own domain, within those small cocoon, you could. But now seeing this, the way this regime is driven, there is no space left in that sense. So then you will have to create newer spaces where you can talk about these things. And but yeah, so far I don't think my concern is that one has to defend very average work because they are in the bad books of the government. So that is the flip side.
No, I think the question is, are you conscious, say, when you're making when you're making SAE, for example, were you conscious of these things of, okay, aisa kuch ho gaya to kya hoga, or, sort of, should I be more careful, or your producer is more conscious of, all these things. So I think that is the question more than whether it will become viral or not.
Not so far, not while making it. The film, it doesn't look like it will release, but who knows, if that kind of pressure starts coming in and you are dealing with such things, then maybe there is a pressure or not a pressure. But so far, no. We weren't conscious of that fact of what we were saying.
Great. Yeah, same question for Nasir, I think. Arun, Karthik.
Yes, Basav, was very much conscious that I'm making this particular film because I had read the short story 3-4 years back, and then itself I paid him a little token and I bought the short story that I'm going to do it someday. But at that point, I very much wanted to do it because of the events that triggered me to do it, and so very much. So I'm very much influenced by the outside things and all that. So it's a mix of both, but more so, I could have made that film like later also, after I make few other films, which are not probably about current political situations. I could have made films about them and then later made this film, but no, right now I made Nasir because I felt, okay, it's signs, that I kind of, like the whole film, the idea to make that film happened from a riot that I witnessed. I was part of it. My shop was busted, and I had read the short story 4 or 5 years back. I did not make it then. I thought I would make it someday. The story was still with me, but then at that point I wanted to make it because I was very conscious that there is an increasing alarming thing that is going around me, and this story gives me a fantastic window to look at these things in the way that I would like to, I would relate to, or I would like to look at. So it's a very conscious process. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, but the consciousness, does it lead to fear as well in terms of
No fear, dude,
how you
no fear.
receive it?
A bit of
Yeah.
frustration regarding market and getting back money and all those things. But that's a part of the producer's frustration also. But it's kind of seeped into me a bit. But otherwise, no fear. I mean, come on. I mean, no.
No, I'm saying because of the
Fear
content.
for the
Because of
future
the
in different
content.
ways,
Yeah.
but not for the government or for. I mean, definitely not regarding what you're engaged with, because that would be the first hit on the nail. Because if you fear, you're lost. There is an inherent fear generally about life, generally about every action of mine. That is different. I would like to draw a line.
Yeah.
Fear towards what would another person say, what would the government react, what would the people in power do, or what would the festivals do, what would the funding look like? Nothing, you can't make films thinking about the other.
Yeah. Good. Priyanka?
I was just thinking about this in a slightly different way in terms of like Pichla Varka when we were, yeah. So, is this better? Okay. I was thinking about it in a slightly different way. Um, I mean, in terms of like, yeah, when we were making Pichla Varka, and I was sort of talking about, the experiences of partition as, my grandmother and her friends had experienced it. There was a conscious decision that we made to keep out the stories of violence. Like we didn't want to include it because it was obvious. The women I was talking to were of a certain community. They had come from earlier, parts of what is now Pakistan to India, and their stories of violence came from a certain context, but how they would be read today would be completely different. So in that sense there was a conscious decision of, and we were unsure of how it would be taken. Should we have it, should we not have it? So we kept certain things out of the film because of that.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and even now as I'm working on follow up, sort of an extension, which is another film which is looking at the partition and is located in Amritsar. There are things which are would be coming up which talk about violence or bias against certain communities, and how I frame that within the film is something that I have to be careful about. I mean, that is so, but it's different to what you were saying. I'm just giving you a.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You're talking about the other side of this question, I think. But yeah, and Mahin, I mean, for you, especially since you're also working in the sort of the non-profit space and engaging with communities and involved in people's movements, you are directly more or less, more than the other people here in the sort of the eyes of the state or the powers that be in terms, right?
Right. I was also thinking for Turup, like now MP has these anti-conversion laws and UP was also. I was wondering if they would start to, even like look at the films and probably remove them from the. So good you watched it, Arun. The generally, by and large, I think that the space for any kind of dissent, any kind of alternate voices, any kind of questioning is anyway shrinking. And the more, I mean, and like just making a film that may be slightly non-mainstream becomes a political thing anyway, like it's become like that now. So so I think by and large there is a kind of urgency to make more before it completely, like, you can't make it anymore, and that day will soon come. So I think that I think we would be treating it more like that, more as an urgency to bring out like whatever it is from, say, more, I mean, if we are looking at marginal communities, and if we are part of those as well. So whether it's in terms of religion, caste, sexuality, gender, whatever it is, if we want those stories to come through, then this is the time we have to tell them very, very fast. And so, and that, yes, that is really the pressure that I think a lot of us are facing. And that is the only way we can respond to the increasing repression as well. Yeah, so it's like that. I mean, like, we'll keep, like how the last song of Fez says, that we'll continue to do our work even if these times grow more stringent. I think that is probably the thing that the fear will be there. Like Arun was saying, we are at every point, I think that we do encounter it. It's such a real emotion. And but I suppose how we respond to it is also something that is important in these times. How do you also see this thing coming through and going ahead in spite of all of it? Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, guys. I think it was wonderful. I hope you also enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any, feedback, thoughts, you can send it to me. Also, if you want to do it often, we should do this. The fact that we are all in independent space, this should be more open, so we should have more. Hopefully, TFA organizations like Toto Funds the Arts will enable those conversations. Hopefully, we will also screen your films as part of TFA. At least I will put in a word for that and hopefully make it happen. So thank you so much for making time. I know all of you are very busy people, so thank you for making time for this. Yeah, namaskar.
Thank you, Basav, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, viewers, for watching this session on independent cinema in current times. Please do stay on for the next module, which features the poets and fiction writers shortlisted for the Toto Awards for Creative Writing in English. It will start in less than an hour at 7 p.m. See you shortly.